Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyanana Salakya Shakshuran Minitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namah Vande Gurun Isabhaktan Isam Isavatarakam Tat Prakasam Satat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samgyakam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Godadaya Pushpadanta Chitra Sandatamanada Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi Tatapyasya Tanuva Yatmantaryami Purushiti Sushamsa Vibhava Sataisvarya Purna Yaiha Bhagavan Sasvayam Mayam Nachitanyas Krishna Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha Anarpitacharim Chiratka Yuna Karunaivatirna Kalo Samapariyatum Manuchturvala Rasam Sabhakta Shriyam Hariputra Sundra Jyuti Kadamba Sandipita Sadaridaya Kandare Shburatova Satchinandana Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Vladini Shaktir Asmat Ekatmanavapi Bruvipura Deha Bedam Katutu Chaitanya Kyam Prakatam Madhuna Tvadayam Chakyamaptam Radha Bhava Jyuti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Before I came to Krishna consciousness, I had one friend, and he was unusual because he would always sleep outside, even in the winter. And that is in Holland, not in Croatia. So, he would make a little roof with some plastic, but just sleep outside, frost or not. And he was working in the forest, and he was taking care of the forest. And he would collect herbs from the forest, and he would cook them for us. And every day with brown rice, and we would get wild herbs and brown rice. That was it. Then he would serve everything. He would wash all the dishes, and in this way he was always serving us. We were a group of young people all living in one house, and he was just our cook, and he gave us all these things. One day he disappeared completely. So, I said, what happened? Right? He's just gone. Then there was a whisper, and the whisper was, he's joined the Hare Krishnas. So I went to the temple to save him. And I came there, but he couldn't be saved, that was clear. He was gone. And the only thing he told me, I always had a ticket to India in my pocket. And I had one at that time. And he said, when you go to India, you must go to Vrindavan. That I remembered, that I should go to Vrindavan. Yes, I came in Vrindavan in the evening. I came in the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And there in that temple, I just came at 6:45 at night, and they were just having Tulsi Puja, and all the people were bowing down to a plant. I was looking at it like, wow. Then this albino pujari, comes out the big doors, very short, and he blew a conch shell, and that blew my mind. Then the curtain opened, and I saw Krishna Balaram and Radhastami Sundar. And for a moment, my hair stood on end, right? Their special mercy, this is Chaya Bhav, how we get a shadow reflection of a higher taste. It was very, very spiritual, very transcendental. So, as I on that first day just stood there and saw Radhastami Sundar, and as I saw Lalita Vishaka, and as I saw Krishna Balaram, that became my spot, That was just my spot. I stood there every night, same place, my spot. And I looked just at the deities. Yeah. So I joined the temple, but I kept my spot. And Gornitai were also there, but I had no relationship with them, somehow or other. They did not really touch me at that stage. And I was in the mood of Vrindavan, Krishna everywhere, like in Vrindavan, you feel that Krishna has just left. It's just, where you're somewhere and feel Krishna was just here a few minutes ago. And where did he go? Maybe around the corner. If you're quick, you might catch him. I always feel like you can almost catch him. It's just, but yeah, never happens. Anyway. But with time, as I began to understand more and learn more about Radha and Krishna and about their pastimes in Vrindavan, yes, as I heard many things about Radha and Krishna, I heard how Srimati Radharani lived in Yavat, and that her husband was named Abhimanyu. Husband? How is this? I heard, yes, this husband is not a real husband. She has a husband who is not a real husband. It was confusing. But I heard this husband is a shadow of Krishna. He's a shadow of Krishna. So, all right, some sort of shadow reflection of Krishna. It said, although he was a husband, he never ever touched his wife. Somehow or other, influenced by Yoga Maya, Abhimanyu never ever had any contact with his wife in that way. Daily, Srimati Radharani was going to the house of Yasoda. Well, that was something, because her mother-in-law Jyotila was extremely suspicious. Extremely. And she considered Krishna to be very untrustworthy and would sometimes refer to him like a black snake. But Yasoda was very wealthy. She was the queen of Vrindavan. And somehow or other, Durvasa Muni had given Radharani a blessing that whatever she would cook would taste like nectar, and that it would also bestow long life. So Yasoda, she was insisting, First of all, Krishna must have the best, so it must taste like nectar. Second of all, we must protect him by all means, that he has a long life. So, as the queen of Vrindavan, she insisted that Radharani would cook. Jatila was not inclined, but Purnamasi came. And Purnamasi mentioned, well, you know, there's a lot of wealth. And when Yasoda is pleased, she will give your daughter-in-law a lot of wealth. And that will be very good for your family. Jatila said, that makes sense. Yes, yes. Oh, okay, then she can go, but never alone. Yes. So every morning, Srila Baladevi Jabusam describes in his Aishwarya Kadambini, a procession would leave from Yavat, and Srimati Radharani was being carried in a palanquin, and the gopis, acting as her maidservants, were carrying her, fanning her on the way, and in this way she was brought to the house of Yasoda, and there, straight in the kitchen. Kept an eye on her. So, in this way, Srimati Radharani would cook daily for Krishna. There was no possibility for Krishna to come near because she was guarded. So, although she was in the house, she might as well have been on another planet. It was not easy. But anyway, she cooked, and subsequently she left. And again, she mounted the palanquin, and again, she was carried back to Yavat. And this was a daily ritual. Every day, this would go on. Of course, the Mother Yasoda indeed would make big boxes and fill them with all kinds of treasures. So, a message was sent. Send your husband, Abhimanyu. Send him. Yes, because there is a treasure to collect. Krishna saw that Mother Yasoda had a big box, and she was packing so many things in that box. Pearls, nice cloth, jewels, so many ornaments and things. And so Krishna said, wow, this looks very nice. For who is this box? For me? Because, Krishna is used to it, that everything is for him. Right? But no, Mother Yasoda said, this is not for you. He said, no, not for me. Then, for who is it? Mother Yasoda said, it is for Srimati Radharani. Well, then Krishna devised a devious plan, and while Mother Yasoda, when 1 minute went into the kitchen, he quickly took the things out of the box and entered the box himself. And when Abhimanyu came, he brought the box for Srimati Radharani, and he brought it straight to her quarters. So in this way, stolen moments of Parakiya ras. It is said that Srimati Radharani and Krishna have this relationship which is known as Parakiya. It is the paramour relationship. It is a relationship which is forbidden. It is a forbidden relationship. It is not swakiya, a marriage relationship. It is a forbidden relationship. It is a hidden relationship. And in such a relationship, the partner can never be taken for granted. You know how it is? Da 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 da, da 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 da. You get married, and then, yes, you get a ring on your finger, and then now you have duties. Now you are obliged. Yes, where is the money? So many things, right? Whatever, you're obliged. You have to be responsible. Yes. Oh yes, that's marriage. There are duties on both sides, from both men and women. Duties are there. That's marriage. I think you all know. And maybe the brahmacharis don't know, and maybe it's better not to know for brahmacharis. No need to know. But anyway, the point is this, is that Parakiya Ras is not like that. In Parakiya Ras, it is about conquering. It is about every time again, one has to conquer the other. There is no guarantee that the other will be around tomorrow. There's no contract, there's no promise, there is nothing. Tomorrow, we don't know about tomorrow, only today. And today, you'll have to conquer, otherwise, nothing may happen. So this is the nature of that relationship. It is based, and this is the nature not just of the relationship between Radha and Krishna, but this is the nature of spiritual life. Spiritual life is based on this concept of conquering Krishna. We can never take Krishna for granted. Yesterday we got some mercy. Oh yes, Krishna is very kind. Oh yes, he gave us some mercy yesterday. And today, he may give you nothing. But I'm the temple president. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. External designation don't help. But I have done 20 years of Sankirtan. That also is no guarantee. No guarantee. Krishna is not obliged. Krishna is never obliged. Krishna is independent, completely. He can do what he wants, and he will do what he wants. That is Krishna. So somehow or other, we have to conquer Krishna. Krishna in his turn is also described as a transcendental Kamadev. And Kamadev has 5 arrows. Now, let me try to remember. Subjugation. You have the good memory. That was okay. I have it somewhere in this phone. Memory is poor. Yeah. I know it's here. Anyway, so Cupid has 5 arrows. And with these 5 arrows, he's shooting in the heart of the living beings. And in this way, Cupid is bringing out the desires, of the living beings. So now I have the 5 arrows of Cupid here. It is said that the first arrow, they're flower arrows. They have a tip of a flower and they aim at the heart, and when they hit, something happens. So it says the first arrow, it captivates. The second arrow subjugates. Right? The third arrow, intoxicates. The fourth arrow melts the heart. And the fifth arrow drains all your strength. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? It really is. I'll say it again, just you can try to remember it. First arrow, captivate. Second one, subjugate. Third one, intoxicate. Fourth, melts the heart. And fifth, drains all your strength. Yes. So Krishna acts like a transcendental Kamadev. So Krishna, his aim is to do exactly that. He shoots flower arrows at his devotees and he tries to captivate them, to subjugate them, to intoxicate them, to melt their heart, and to drain all the energy. Ooh, yeah. Whew. There we are. Like, whew, Krishna. That is happening. So it's not surprising that these gopis are just sometimes standing there totally dazed, totally lost to the outer world. Right? Just what just hit me? Right? So Krishna is doing that to his devotees. But the devotees, equally so, are trying to capture Krishna. We know that the cowherd boys steal each other's lunch packages. Right? It's a famous thing. They steal the lunch package and throw them, and then the one whose lunch package is stolen is trying to get it back, and so on. And sometimes they open it up, right? And they look inside and go, ooh, what is this? And sometimes it's Krishna who opens up a package and says, wow, look at this. And Krishna tastes. Now, do you think that these mothers, that's tasty. Don't you know that these mothers, that they don't know that the boys steal the lunch packages? Of course they know. And do you think that they don't know that sometimes Krishna steals the lunch packages? Of course they know. And therefore, when they make those lunch packages, they pack them up with all kinds of goodies, just in case Krishna will steal. This is the nature of the residents of Vrindavan. Trying to capture Krishna. Yeah. So, as Krishna is trying to captivate, as Krishna is trying to subjugate, oh yes, they also do. The devotees also do. They subjugate Krishna. Nanda Maharaj says, can you bring my shoes? Well, and Krishna, like a nice domesticated puppy dog, goes, yes, Yavol Nanda Maharaj. He does whatever Nanda Maharaj wants, and he goes and he just brings whatever Nanda Maharaj wants. When Srimati Radharani, together with Krishna, left the rasa dance, at that time, she was walking with Krishna, and then at one point, she said, Oh, I'm so tired. I cannot walk anymore. You will have to carry me. And of course, he said, yes, of course. And next moment, he disappeared. But that mood, right, of using Krishna, yes, is there. Subjugation. So Krishna becomes subjugated. Krishna becomes domesticated. Krishna becomes controlled. Intoxicated. Yes, of course. The gopis are intoxicated. They are intoxicated with their love for Krishna. They forget everything. They leave everything. When Krishna is at Bamsi Bhat and he plays his flute, all the gopis hear that flute playing. The whole universe hears the flute playing. Lord Shiva starts dancing and plays his din-din drum. Little drum with little chords and stones. And he's like shaking it. Lord Shiva is dancing. The gopis, they hear, come, leave everything and come here. That is what they hear. Srimati Radharani hears, you are the only one. That is what she hears. You are the only one. So, totally intoxicated by that sound, they drop everything. Right? And we hear the descriptions. Some were boiling milk, left it on the stove. Some were taking dinner. Some were getting dressed. Some were feeding the babies, dropped them. It's like, so I'm trying to visualize this, dropping the babies. But, and they just left. They left and they just joined Krishna in the forest. Yes. So, intoxicated. Intoxicated. On other occasions, Krishna is also intoxicated. Yes, when Krishna likes this Dan Lila, right? He likes to somehow or other stop the gopis as they are going to the marketplace. There are many places in Vrindavan. There is Sankari Kor, this narrow passageway where they are stopped. Or there's Manasi Ganga, the boat pastime, and who's the boatman? Guess who? And so on. And the boatman and there's a storm, and the boatman is getting weak, and he's hungry, and he has to eat something. And Krishna gets intoxicated by all these sweets, undoubtedly. But Krishna is not intoxicated by the sweets. Krishna is intoxicated by the sweetness of the gopis. That is the true intoxication. When Krishna lifted Govardhan, he kept it on his little fingers for 7 days. But when he looked at the gopis, then Govardhan was shaking. Balaram understood it. And Krishna was embarrassed, exposed. Yes, intoxicated. The melting of the heart. So the melting of the heart is called sneha, in love, when the heart is melting. This is, what does it mean that the heart is melting? It means that the emotion is now just out of control. The heart is no longer controlled. When a heart starts melting, then that means that heart is basically doing its own thing. Right? It's doing what it does, and there's nothing you can do about it anymore. You've lost it. You're gone. Just captured. And then, then drained from all strengths. So all these mellows exist in the exchanges between Radha and Krishna. Such mellows are very valuable. They are, in the spiritual world, we hear about Madhurya Ras, right? And which exists particularly between Krishna and the gopis. And it is the most difficult thing to understand because it deals with Adi Ras. And Adi Ras is the origin of sex life. It is the spiritual loving exchange, of which mundane sex life is a perverted reflection. So it is very difficult for us to approach these pastimes because we are afflicted by mundane lust. And because we are afflicted by mundane lust, how can we hear about such transcendental embraces and not feel some lusty desires awakening? And then what do we do? That is the difficulty. That is the difficulty. So that is why this is very hard to approach the transcendental loving exchanges of Radha and Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was such an acharya. He was so learned in scripture and he was establishing Siddhanta. He was Bhaktisiddhanta. That was his business, to establish Siddhanta. So he established in the Gaudiya Math at his time a very strict attitude towards Ras Leela, towards these loving Madhurya Ras exchanges between Radha and Krishna. And his disciples took that. And Srila Prabhupada likewise took that. So Srila Prabhupada was quite reserved about such intimate matters. And so was his spiritual master. One day, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was giving a lecture at Radhakund and said that today we will speak about Ras Leela, right? Although you are not qualified, but still we speak about this because this Ras Leela is not the property of the Sahajas. It is the property of our Sampradaya. Right? So in this way, the times have changed. The times changed in ISKCON. As I said, I joined in Vrindavan. I was in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, that mood of Srila Prabhupada to be very reserved about Rasika Bhakti, about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, about the stories of Radha and Krishna, that was very prominent. That was what everyone did. For example, in Vrindavan, they perform these Ras Leela pastimes. Actors, they dress up like Radha and Krishna and they perform all kinds of pastimes. Prabhupada had forbidden devotees to go to such leelas. Right? We were not allowed to go, so nobody went. Nobody. Now, Prabhupada, if someone would go to Radhakund, Prabhupada would say, "You've been to Radhakund?" "Yes." Says, "What did you do there? How long did you stay there?" He was very, very protective of the devotees. But things happened, somewhere in the mid-90s, some devotees were beginning to translate certain things, all these books about Rasika pastimes, the Acharyas. The devotees started to read it. There was a certain Gaudiya Math sannyasi who was also preaching about this, and devotees went there in large numbers, and all these stories came into our movement, and it became part of the ISKCON of today. It is Radhastami. Yes, Radhastami. Oh yes. Remember How Subal, Subal, remember? He came to the house of Jutila in Yavat, remember? And that Subal said that his calf was missing. Subal, what you're doing here? Mother Jutila, I'm looking for my calf. I've looked everywhere in Vrindavan, everywhere. In every house, in every corner, every place. This is the last house. The last house where I have not been, because, to be honest, we are scared of you. But today, I must go. It's my duty, my calf. Right? So Mother Jutila, please allow me to have a look for my calf. All right, Subal, have a look for your calf, right? And then, if you find it, straight out the door. You understand? You're not hanging around. Yes, Mother Jutila. Of course, Mother Jutila. Whatever you say, Mother Jutila. Yes, definitely, Mother Jutila. And he was in the house. It's not such a small house. There was some space. There's a courtyard, different quarters, different spaces. So he was looking in the house. Now, for some reason, it is described that Subal looks like Radharani. Right? Subal is related to Radharani, and the family relationship makes them look very similar. So that was the plan. Subal, a calf, had been smuggled in before, and Subal just came and now exchanged dress with Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani, she walked out carrying the calf. She carried the calf outside. And yes, walked past Jutila. So you found your calf? Right? And shaking with the head like you do in India. And she walked out, and Subal stayed as Radharani in the house. So the Subal Vesh, right? So that's why now we see girls dress up like cowherd boys in the Subal Vesh. Deities are dressed in the Subal Vesh. That's just become part of the culture. But yeah. I used to be a little reserved, and then some of the senior Vaishnavas would go, Radhe, Radhe, to me. Radhe, Radhe. They meant relax. All right, I've relaxed. I've relaxed, it's nice to hear about Radharani. There are beautiful stories. At the same time, though, I know that I need mercy. Remember, I did not go so much to the altar of Gornitai in the beginning. But then what happened was that as I heard more and more about Radhe Radhe and all these stories and things like that, oh yes, very intimate matters, that were a little intense. I heard in Vrindavan. Yes. So, and I realized that there was one problem. And the problem was that I did not have the same amount of love as the gopis. I could hear about their love, but I didn't have that kind of love. I still don't have that kind of love. That I realized, they have such... One time, I was checking in for a plane. Okay, that day I was flying from Germany over Switzerland, Alps, then over the Pyrenees to Spain. So lots of mountains, beautiful sunny day, clear sky. They asked me, window seat or aisle seat? I said, window. I thought, I'll have a look at the mountains. Right? So I was flying, looking at the mountains, but after a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so, these mountains became a bit boring, Mountains are, after all, mountains. Right? White snow caps, little sunlight on top, and this and that, beautiful, but All right, seen it, So I was getting a little bored, and I pulled a book out of my bag, and it happened to be the Nectar of Devotion. I opened it up and just started reading somewhere. And as I was reading the gopis. The gopis were not interested in seeing anything other than Krishna. I read it, I closed the book and said, exposed. What to do? So yes, I don't have that level of love for Krishna. Right? And that became more and more clear. And as I heard more and more about the 25 qualities of Radharani and about so many aspects of Radharani, I realized that I couldn't enter. I realized I was an outsider in Vrindavan and in this Ras Leela. Lord Shiva could not enter. Lord Shiva, he disguised himself like a gopi trying to get in, right? And got caught. As he comes in a gopi form into the Ras Leela, Krishna says, hey, Lord Shiva, haven't seen you for such a long time. Welcome. I just needed someone. There are many people who are trying to enter into this Ras Leela and they're not authorized. So I needed someone to stand guard, and you are the perfect person. Gopishwar Mahadev in Vrindavan. Yes, we can see Gopishwar Mahadev. Oh yes. So he couldn't enter. Lord Shiva, what about me? What about you? What about us? When Lord Shiva cannot enter, who are we to enter? I myself, I'm a pumpkin from Holland, and you, I don't know what you are from Croatia. You can fill in the blanks, whatever Croatians are, but I'm just a pumpkin from Holland. Now you know. So, someone once asked me, but you should swim in Radhakund. And it was a German, and I said to him, was macht ein Hund in Radhakund? Yeah, which translate as, what is a dog doing in Radhakund? Yeah. Who am I? Who am I? So with time, I realized I need mercy. And I wound up in front of the altar of Gaur-Nitai. These days, I take darshans of the other ones, but I pray especially to Gaur-Nitai, because I know without them, I wouldn't even be in Vrindavan. Without them, I wouldn't be able to stay in Vrindavan. And with the quality of my rounds, without them, I wouldn't even be long in this movement. Right? Cupid would get me with all those arrows, and you know what it is. Captivation, subjugation, intoxication, meltdown, and finally, no more spiritual strength. Yeah, what would be my chance? As they say, like a snowball in hell. So, not such a, So I realized I need the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. I need them. That was my realization. I saw so many. I saw them all trying to enter deeper into Ras Leela. And I looked them deep in their eyes, and I saw in each of them the shortfall. I saw in the famous Maharaj from Mathura, I saw the lack of love. I saw the lack of love in his dealings. I saw it. And I saw in his followers, even in the great leaders, I saw the lack of love. I saw no one had that love of the gopis. No one. Radhe, 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 Jai Shri Radhe, Radhe. I realized it. I stood there in front of Gaur-Nitai. And then turning back, praying to Lord Chaitanya, and now turning back to Radha and Krishna. Now I return with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And when I meet the limit of my love in approaching Radha and Krishna, then I turn back to Lord Gauranga. When my lust pops up, oh Lord Gauranga, save me. And when my pride is harassing me again, oh Lord Gauranga, please save me. Right? When all my sinful tendencies are knocking on the door, right? Oh Lord Gauranga, please save me. Right? That's our only hope. In this way, with a sober mind, we can approach Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada taught us to say Srimati Radharani, right? Always. Srimati. Srimati means she who is full of transcendental opulence. Srimati Radharani. And Rani, she's the queen. Right? She is not just another devotee. Even the eternal associates of Krishna, they're all serving her. Everyone is serving her. Srila Prabhupada is serving her. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is serving her. All the acharyas are serving her. Lord Brahma is meditating for 60,000 of his years on the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. And still could not enter. Still couldn't understand the nature of the Ras Lila. And yet we approach. And we are eligible to approach. Because we have that mercy. And that mercy will compensate. And we are meant to know. But with and we enter into Radha Kund. But not like they did. Srila Prabhupada, when the passionate devotees would come to Radha Kund, some ran, and said, let's do a bomb, No. That's when Prabhupada said, no, just stay on the banks with a lota. Right? That's when he said that. Yes. Bhuvaneshwar Prabhu, who was the cook in Vrindavan, he took me. He said, today you're going to take bath in Radha Kund. I said, I usually don't do it. I said, I just take some drops on my head. He said, no, you're going to do it today. And I was like, what could I say? I said, Boo, what are you doing? Anyway, he took me in a taxi to Radha Kund, and he made me enter Radha Kund, and we were sitting up to the neck in Radha Kund. And then he told me everything, how he was there when this whole thing happened with Prabhupada. He told exactly what happened, and how the devotees made that bomb, and how they jumped in the water. And then Prabhupada, in reaction on that, said, no bath in Radha Kund. Because Srila Rupa Goswami writes that we must bathe in Radha Kund. In the Upadeshamrita, he writes it. Of course, we don't jump over the present Acharya. That is the system. You don't go to the previous Acharyas and pick what you like. Say, well, the previous Acharyas, they authorized this, then it's bona fide. No, what did the present Acharyas say? When we go to the previous Acharya, we always go through the present Acharya. We don't just jump over. That we also learned in Vrindavan. So, we don't jump over Prabhupada. That's not wise. Malati. Malati is like very close to Prabhupada. One of Prabhupada's very early disciples. It's very close. So Malati's dream, And Malati's dream is very interesting because Malati's dream is a story where one night she dreamt that these celestial personalities, they came. And they said, you don't know who Prabhupada is. Said, you don't know. They said, the whole universe is worshipping Prabhupada. The whole universe is worshipping Prabhupada. Right? And then she was sort of, then she said, who are you? He said, we are the Yamadutas. I said, you are Yamadutas? You look like celestial beings. You don't look like Yamadutas. Yamadutas, they are ugly and like that, you know. She said, no. They said, we have actual celestial bodies, but it's the sinful people who see us like that, like very ugly. But actually we have celestial bodies. That's what the dream was. But it is a fact. Right? We don't know who Prabhupada is. The whole universe is worshipping Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, look, once in a day of Brahma, Krishna appears. Correct? Once in a day of Brahma, after Krishna appears, Lord Chaitanya appears. Correct? Yes. Correct. Then, right? And then after Lord Chaitanya appeared, Prabhupada appeared. And what he did, he took Krishna consciousness from east to west. It was done only once in a day of Brahma. And Prabhupada did it. And then Prabhupada said, you know, this Krishna consciousness, it's like a disease. He said, once you catch it, and it really sets in, then it's too late. It's too late. Prabhupada said, it's too late. It's too late. It's here to stay. Prabhupada did it. He took Krishna consciousness from east to west. Do you realize that happens once in a day of Brahma? That is what Prabhupada did. That is who Prabhupada is. He is a personality who appears once in a day of Brahma. So do me a favor. Don't talk about this Baba, that Baba, or any other Baba. I can't handle it. I just can't take it. Don't talk to me about this Guru, that Maharaj. Please, don't do it. I can't handle it. I can't. I'm sold to Prabhupada. I belong to Prabhupada. I know that through Prabhupada only am I gonna make it. I know there are rich Basis. I know these rich Basis, they are in Vrindavan because of their special karma. They are there. They're there for that. But I know I only got in for one reason, Prabhupada. And I know I could only stay there for a long time because of one reason, Prabhupada. Right? And no other reason. And as long as I was serving Prabhupada, I had a license to be there. And I knew if I stopped, license gone. That's it. No more password. Access denied. But it is the right password. Hare Krishna. Access denied. But it's Hare Krishna. I'm chanting all day, all night. Hare Krishna. Access denied. Access has been given by Prabhupada for all. Ayendra, my good friend, that red-haired, bearded revolutionary who somehow or other from Vrindavan influenced the whole world, that guy who put big ankle bells on at night and would jump around in front of the deities. And one night, it was 11 o'clock and I was still finishing my rounds. And I used to go, I was tired, so I used to go near the kirtan, but to keep me awake so I could finish my rounds. Yeah. So I was chanting my rounds. It's been a hell of a day. And then there were some boys, they were cleaning the temple. And they were on the altar in front of the doors, there were coins lying around. And they were collecting the coins. And one started calling the other. You know how it is in India, you know, nobody cares about anything. And they're just like, hey, Tarun Dada! Hey, Tarun! Hey, Baba! In the temple, you know, at like 11 o'clock at night, right? I go, hey, you know, hey, quiet! Krishna is resting. He's sleeping. Right? Ayendra stopped the kirtan and he says, "No, he's not." He says, "No, he's not. That's what Mother Yasoda thinks." Radhe. But I know that Ayendra got the mercy because he fulfilled the desire of Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada wanted 24-hour kirtan and nobody did it, and he did it. And that's why he got all the mercy he got. That's why he got Indian citizenship from Vrindavan. No one got it before. He was the first one to just get that. And that was clear. Krishna said, "It's okay, you could stay." And he could stay. And then he left his body in Vrindavan. Okay, with a bang, but it suited his fiery nature maybe. And he went back to Godhead because of the mercy of Prabhupada. Let's not think it's anything else. Let us understand that. And whatever we know of Vrindavan, about Ras Leela, about Radha and Krishna, whatever any of us knows. The second one who got citizenship was Mahanidhi Swami. Same story. Whatever he knows, because of the mercy of Prabhupada. Nothing else. Nothing else. This is we are very fortunate. Somehow or other, we got the special mercy from the Shakti Avesh avatar, who is, that special personality who did a mission that is done once in a day of Brahma, who connects us to the whole thing, that whole ethereal Ras Leela and Radhe and all these things. And if you read some of these books of the Goswamis, Govinda Lilamrita, there are some intense things there. Embraces, bites, and and all kinds of things. And you go, whoa, what is going on here? They're getting intense. Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, in this way, we can celebrate Radhastami and approach with purity, because we borrow the purity from being the follower of Srila Prabhupada. We borrow the purity from being in this sampradaya. Then we can do it. This is what I learned in Vrindavan in all those years that I was there. And this is how I have learned. Can we approach Radhastami? Thank you very much. Any questions or any comments?
You were mentioning this sneha, melting of the heart, and I thought of Sneha Pasha, which Queen Kunti wants to get rid of her attachment to the family, to the skin, and Prabhupada writes in the commentary that somehow we are not cold stone.
We are not cold stone.
And we have to have some emotions, even as devotees, to other people, other devotees.
Yeah.
So you were speaking about relationship to Krishna as a kind of parakya rasa, when we have to conquer Krishna. So I was thinking if that parakya is somehow useful also in Sakya and Sakya
Yes.
rasa.
In all rasas, even in Santaraj, even where in a neutral rasa, there is not much activity. But even the awe and reverence the devotees feel for Krishna is conquering him, is attracting his mercy. Devotional service is Sri Krishna Akarsani, it attracts Krishna. What to speak of Dasyaras? Oh, when his servants are serving, Krishna is so pleased. You've cleaned this floor. Oh, you've peeled these potatoes. I remember there was one Ratha Yatra and there was one group of devotees, they just peeled potatoes, bags and bags of potatoes. Their hands were black from peeling the potatoes. They got more mercy than anybody else. Potato mercy. Did you ever get potato mercy? That's what you call the service. From service. So yes, peeling potatoes can attract Krishna. Service. It is devotional service that brings us deep. Dasya, everything rests on dasya. Service attitude, the more. Look at the gopis. Many devotees were in Vrindavan, and it was really very rasic at that time, right? Super rasic. Everyone was talking about intimate rasic leelas and things like this. And then one day we were taking darshan of the deities, and first bow before Gaura-Nitai, then Krishna Balaram, and then come to Radha Shyama-Sundar. And that day, Radharani, she had in her hand a bouquet with flowers, but in the same hand, she also had a basket with some fruits. That's Radharani. Double offering. Double offering. That's what it means. The topmost makes also the topmost offering. She doesn't just the topmost love, she does the topmost service. Right? So in all the rasas, you have to conquer. So all of us, we have to conquer. You have to conquer Krishna. Again and again. You can take sannyas, and then what? Then you have to conquer. Otherwise, you lose the power.
But we shouldn't be too much eager to conquer other souls or other living beings, because this...
Conquer with love, conquer with love. All living beings. Don't conquer with power. I'm the conqueror, here's my boot. I put it on your neck. You dog. No, I've got you, right? You dog. And you did all these things, and so did your father and your grandfather, you dog. Oh, you're gonna suffer. Not that, conquering. Conquer with love, conquer with kindness, conquer with service. You know, even it works with us also. I have some books that I did, and recently someone from Russia volunteered and said, not initiated, I want to translate your books, and just, can we do it? I said, well, I guess, okay, if you want to, I mean, sure, yeah. And they set up a whole translation team and artists and this and that, and there's a whole group working on translating my books into Russia. I never go there, but whatever, you know, I'm scared because it might even bring me there. and my spiritual master once told me, he said, when you go to Russia, you'll never come back. So I'm scared. But yeah, you know, we become conquered. We become conquered. Therefore, you must be careful in accepting service from someone, because they'll conquer you. But we serve the Vaishnavas. We conquer the Vaishnavas. Serve everybody. Anyone else?
Thank you for the beautiful lecture, Maharaj. You've said how we have to access Srimati Radharani's mercy by first approaching Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. Yet there are so many Srila Prabhupada disciples that left the ISKCON as organization.
Yeah.
And and they are still very loyal
Yeah.
to Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah.
even though, for example, they accepted Shiksha from some Gaudiya Mahat,
Yeah.
Baba. There are so many examples I think that you know about. So how can we understand their position? Can we just simply say that they don't have the access to the mercy because they are somehow disloyal?
No, it's not so simple. Gaudiya Math is our family to begin with, from the same roots. Radhakund Babajis are having some big disagreement with us in terms of Siddhanta traditionally, and so there's a big clash, which they don't think that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada are bona fide. So that's a complication. That's a little difficult to deal with. So there, when that happens, then complications arise. But still, we also see that there still is a connection. There still is love for Prabhupada. There is also still some gratitude and this, that, and there's still a flow of mercy. It's not that the mercy is not flowing, but then maybe not completely transparent anymore. If you start to, if someone goes really deep into the Radhakund Sampradayas, then it becomes, some things may come in philosophically that are viruddha apasiddhanta. Yeah, that are Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was against such apasiddhanta. So that could arise. That is bound to arise. But the institution is ultimately a support structure. Yeah, we have this whole institute. We have a temple here, right? And there are some people who are living in the temple. Some people, they come to the temple once a week. Some people come to the temple once a month. Some people come to the temple on Janmashtami, and maybe also on Radhastami sometimes. That's it, right? There's all kinds of different relationships. Some people never come to the temple. Whatever may be, still a devotee. Still devotees, and it was a great surprise that this Abhay Charan Dey, who was some householder, nice householder, gave good donations also, and he could play madanga. It was nice, but for the rest, you know what I mean, as a householder, right? And then the next thing, this householder becomes the big acharya. It was too much. How is this possible? So there are many outsiders. We cannot judge. Krishna's in their heart, Prabhupada's in their heart. We'll accept. But so we're respectful to all. Vaishnavas inside, Vaishnavas outside. But inside the temple, inside there is a clear message. Temples have the business to preserve, to preserve the tradition, to preserve standards, to preserve what Prabhupada gave. That's also value. I mean, like you come, isn't it? We associate with that again, and we feel okay. Yeah, I'm reconnecting a little with so. I think we should still appreciate the temples. There's a reason why Prabhupada made temples. And I think they're valuable. They are valuable. And I think for the movement as a whole, we need the temples. Without the temples, the movement's going to go down. Anybody else? Yes.
In the end, you mentioned something with
Start again, because
what do we borrow? In the end of the lecture, you said we are borrowing.
we are borrowing the purity from Srila Prabhupada and from this sampradaya, also from the temple, right? When we come, that purity is also preserved in the temple. So we're borrowing this purity. Yeah, on our own, it would be hard, right? But and we realize more and more, how much purity do I really have, right? You've been in Krishna consciousness for 20 years, right? Then, senior devotee, been around, you know what I mean? 30 years, been there, done that, everybody knows you, Haribol. Now, but how much purity do we really have? We still turn to Prabhupada, right? We still sort of like, okay, I've been around, I know, but I always reconnect with Prabhupada and get purified again and again. So we're borrowing the purity there, what we're lacking in our heart.
Krishna is providing the purity.
Yeah, Krishna is providing, and the devotees are providing. The devotees also have a Krishna is initially providing, but then the devotees have their independence and they offer it to Krishna, so they're also providing. Both. Yes.
Just thinking a lot, but thank you so much for this class. I really appreciate it. Just what goes through my mind, what would you suggest? What would we need really to preserve, and where could we give the space for changes?
Yeah. I understand the question. I'm trying to find a practical answer for you that you can work with. There is not one stereotyped way of Krishna consciousness for all. Right? It's not that we're all going to be the same. It's not going to be the case. We see that. We see that amongst all the followers of Prabhupada, we see a whole range of variety. We see the ultra-strict ones, we see the very liberal ones, we see many in between, right? Our anchor will always be Prabhupada. And if we start changing the teachings of Prabhupada, then, and the teachings of Prabhupada's books, then we're going to lose something. If we start to change the form of things, whether you wear this or whether you wear regular clothes from the world, that doesn't make so much difference, and Prabhupada also said like that. Of course, this saffron is a good color. You know why? Because the dust of Krishna's lotus feet is saffron. So that's why I like it. It reminds me of Krishna. But so I felt comfortable in something that is more traditional because it's simple, right? It keeps it more simple. If I just wear this, then I don't have to worry about my relationship with the world. This is a statement. It settles that relationship. Quite clear, I'm a monk, right? Or sannyas. It's clear what I am. If I would dress more socially normal, then all my relationships would also become more in the realm of what is normal, right? So people would have other expectations from me, and I would have to make it clear that I'm living with certain principles and so on. So that's why I prefer to present myself a bit traditional like this, since I'm living with very strict vows as a sannyasi. And these vows are The vows are basically, the essence of the vow is everything for Krishna, nothing for me. Whatever I do for me, only to keep me fit for serving Krishna. Otherwise, nothing for me. So that should be there, this spirit of pure devotional service. For the rest, we don't care, what you want to do. If you want to dress like in a more worldly way, if you want to be, if you want to have your own style, whatever. It's not like such a problem. I think this movement can absorb all that. I do think that at the core of the movement, we need temples which carry a tradition, so that the tradition remains recognizable. That we can, it's clear what is some sort of traditional standard. Yeah, and that we rise at 4 or at Brahma Muhurta, auspicious time of the day. If that's not practical for someone else, okay. So, what is the evidence for all that I'm saying now? The evidence is in Rupa Goswami, who says, "Vaidiki lokiki vapu yat kriya kriyate mune hari seva nakul laiva." He says, whatever is Hari Seva Anukul, whatever is favorable for the service of Hari, whether it is Vedic or whether it is Lokic, whether it is just practical according to the ways of the people. Lokic. So both is possible. But there are buts. Being in a tight institution, in a uniform, can sometimes be a bit tight. You can sort of feel a little bit cramped. Being away from all that, it can be a little loose. And it can be difficult to then keep strict standards of purity. One could more easily become compromised with the material energy. So yeah, purity is still the criterion. Pure devotional service. Is that good enough? I'm leaving it with you. You figure out your way. But purity should be the guiding principle. Is yours? Yeah.
Maharaj, you said that we should conquer others with love. But then when I see myself, I see the shortage of love in myself.
Yeah.
So, and also I don't like many people.
Nice. You're an honest man.
Love someone who is likable.
Yeah.
How to do it?
Yeah. I agree with you. This philosophy of love your neighbor. I especially don't love my neighbor. It's easy to love someone on the other side of the world. So I can relate to what you're saying. What to do. But
I remember once you had one lecture, you said that in Vrindavan, when you had that incident, that you understood that for whatever reason you should always be correct to other person and respect his view.
Yeah, something like that.
Although it is not logical.
Yeah. I should at least take one step towards every person to satisfy them a little bit. Whereas before, if I thought you were wrong, you would get nothing. Now I'll give something. Yeah. Well, what I think is we can even be kind to people that we don't like. Isn't it? We can, some act of kindness. So let's do some kind things, even to people we don't like. You gotta see, they're conditioned. I don't particularly like their conditioning, but ultimately the soul within. So, let me help them do something kind. So I think that's the key, to do something kind, even to people we don't like. But maybe more to people we like. That's okay. And there's many people that are likable, and yeah. I also look for the people that are nice, especially after I get shot in the back. Since then, I'd rather look for people who are nice. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we want to cap it, I think. I was going to do that. But time schedules, I was just speaking with the president of Durban, right? Which is a very big temple, big festival. And we changed the schedule a little bit. And he says, yeah, what can you do? It's a festival. Thank you very much. Shri Shri Radhastami Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. And Padmanabha Goswami, he says, if a festival doesn't end in chaos, it's not a festival.
Thank you for that.